the payback. The payback. The payback. I've never really actually spoken about super wide lenses so far. This is the Canon EFS 10-18 super wide lens. It is a brilliant lens. Super wide, 10mm to 18. Yeah, and you can take in so much with that 10mm. It's just excellent. You know, it takes some getting used to actually using something this wide, and it can give your pictures that refreshing, you know, dynamic look that most people don't have or don't use for whatever reason. But this range I find really interesting, and particularly as I use it as the third lens of my holy trinity of lenses when I'm shooting events. So I'll use a 24-70 general purpose. This is when I'm using the old school theory, the old school trinity of shooting events where you use zooms, because there's one school of thought that says we use zooms, and there's another school of thought that says we use primes. And funnily enough, in both trinities, the super wide features. So in the zoom school of thought, there is the 24-70 for the general shots, and then there's the 70-200 for the close-up, really tight shots, and then you whack on one of these at a certain point in the event, super wide, and you get everything. The genie lens, as I call it, the genie lens, because it sucks everything. The whole world sucks into the lens, into a small space right here. So this is one. I have two genie lenses that I use. Obviously in the prime setup, the prime strategy is the 85 for the tight shots. Then you have the 35 for the general shots. And again, the genie lens, the 10mm to 18. Or I use this one, which I have on this camera, which I'm filming with now, which is the Tokina 11-16. Both of them are brilliant. Both of them have different characteristics. Both of them do what they do really well. The Tokina opens to an aperture of 2.8, which is why most of the time, if the event is inside, I'll tend to be using that. This one has a variable aperture of 4.5 to 5.6 when zoomed in. So the aperture is not so brilliant on this, but the reason why I love this lens, or one of them, is it's so light. It weighs like, I think about 200 grams, if that. Is it 200 grams? I can't remember. Really light. This is so light. You can put this on your body and have it there all day, virtually. You can't feel it. You know, I have a problem with my back, which some of you may remember because I've been talking about it every week. So when you carry this, it's like it's not there. This is the payback. The payback. You can have this lens on all day long and not feel it in your back, whereas the Tokina weighs something like 650 grams. It is a hefty lens due to the fact that it opens to 2.8. So the two of them have characteristics. Depending on what I'm shooting, where I'm shooting, I'll decide which one to use. The Canon, this one, can focus closer, so you can get them bad boy shots where you're right up in someone's face like that and they feel really like you're invading their privacy, but it gets you those shots that just you can't get no other way. The Tokina doesn't open so much. It's not so wide at 11mm, and you would think 11mm and 10mm is not that different, but trust me, it is. The difference is huge. Well, to me it is huge. When I used this 10 at 10mm, then I go back to using the Tokina 11, it always feels restricted. I always feel restricted. So it's a huge difference between that 1mm makes a, well, maybe not a huge difference, but it makes a noticeable difference. What was I going to say? The Tokina, because it opens up to 2.8, you can use that indoors, in those dim halls, in dim rooms, and you can get the fast shutter speed that you need to freeze your subject. The Canon has image stabilization, which is a must when you are shooting video. So, you know, the two have different characteristics, and you've got to choose correctly. You have to choose right, depending on what it is you're doing. When I'm shooting video, I tend to use this one. Although I'm shooting video now, I'm using the Tokina, but it's on a tripod, so that's the reason why. So yeah, super wide adds an extra dynamic, extra range, extra different view to whatever it is you're doing, and it can take you to a new level in your photography and in your videography. So the payback, super wide, brilliant on the street, brilliant for cloud shots, and it's just so cool, so cool. So if you haven't got a super wide yet, I recommend, if you're using Canon, try out this EFS 10-18. Only works on crop bodies, unfortunately or fortunately. The Tokina will work on full frame bodies, but you'll see a ring, you'll see a dark edge around if you zoom in, or is it you zoom out? If you zoom out. They're both crop lenses, but that one, the one on the 70D that I'm filming with now, the Tokina will work on a full frame. This one won't actually fit on a full frame. So it's all about the crops nowadays. Give it a go. You may be surprised. Oh yeah.